A massive bombshell just dropped in the NFL, and one of the most terrifying defensive forces in the league is officially demanding out. Dexter Lawrence has officially requested a trade from New York, and the Chicago Bears are sitting in the perfect position to strike. General Manager Ryan Poles has a chance to land a true game wrecker right now, but the asking price might absolutely shock you. If you want the front office to pull off this blockbuster trade, smash that like button, share this with a fellow fan, and hit subscribe right now. Could this actually be the monumental, missing piece that turns our defense from simply great into an utterly unstoppable, championship-caliber nightmare for opposing quarterbacks? Let us just take a collective breath and break down exactly what is happening here, because my mind is spinning and yours should be too. According to an earth-shattering report from Adam Schefter, the superstar defensive tackle is completely fed up and has officially requested to be traded away. He is putting his foot down and will absolutely not be participating in the start of the off-season program. Apparently, he and the front office have spent 2 agonizing, deeply frustrating off-seasons trying to hammer out a contract that actually respects the massive value he brings to the gridiron. But guess what? There has been 0 progress. Nothing. Just crickets and frustration. Schefter made it crystal clear that the man still has 2 years remaining on his current deal, and is set to make a flat $20 million this coming season. We all genuinely thought that with the massive organizational shakeup, maybe cooler heads would prevail. We thought the arrival of the new head coach, John Harbaugh, would magically smooth things over and bring a winning culture back to the locker room. But nope, that optimism is completely dead. Harbaugh is kicking off his brand new tenure without his absolute best defensive player in the building. It is complete and utter chaos over there. Now, let us tackle the elephant in the room. There is a very loud, very annoying portion of the national fanbase screaming that he is somehow washed up. Washed. Can you seriously believe that? Just because his raw, box score numbers took a slight dip last season, people are ready to throw dirt on his name and call his career over. But if you actually sit down, turn on the tape, and watch the games, this guy is still an absolute monster in the trenches. Marshall Green pointed out a phenomenal statistic that proves this. He was still incredibly ranked 6th in the entire league in total pressures and pass rush grade among all defensive tackles. 6th overall. And that was during a quote-unquote down year where everything around him on that team completely fell apart and morale was in the gutter. The narrative that his peak days are suddenly permanently gone is just completely wild and disrespectful to me. The real question you have to critically ask yourself is this: was last year just a frustrating streak of horrible luck where he could not quite finish the play and get the quarterback to the ground, or is he actually settling into being just a really good player instead of a generational anomaly? Keep in mind, this absolute beast is only 28 years old right now. He will not even turn 29 until much later this year. The tank is absolutely, 100% full. I genuinely believe his run defense was vastly superior to what the basic stats showed last season. The entire team had a legendary meltdown. They were losing games left and right, the defense was left out to dry, and frankly, I think he just reached his breaking point mentally. He is sick and tired of losing and desperately wants a fresh start with a competitive franchise. But if we are being totally honest and realistic as fans evaluating his trade value, you do have to admit that he isn't coming off his most dominant, earth-shattering statistical campaign. Connor Hughes threw out a fascinating statistic that puts this entire saga into perspective. From 2022 to 2024, this dude went on an absolutely absurd, terrifying run as an interior pass rusher, racking up 21 sacks. 21 sacks for an interior defensive lineman is mind-boggling. But then, he completely fell off a statistical cliff in the sack column, going 22 straight games without logging a full sack. So, what on earth do we make of that bizarre drop-off? Are we obsessing way too much over raw sack numbers? Honestly, probably yes. When you play on the interior of the defensive line, your primary job is often to blow up the offensive scheme, shatter the pocket from the inside out, and let the edge rushers clean up the mess and get the glory. When he was racking up double-digit sacks, it was a beautiful anomaly. Moving forward, maybe he isn't going to get you 10 to 12 sacks a year. But does he wreck the play? Does he command vicious double teams on every single snap? Does he make everyone else on the defensive line look like an absolute superhero because the opposing offense is so terrified of him? If your answer is yes, then Ryan Poles needs to be on the phone making this deal happen right this very second. And this brings me to our question of the day, and I want every single one of you to go down into the comments right now and answer this. What is the absolute maximum trade package you would personally give up for him today? Drop your craziest, most realistic trade proposals in the comments below because I want to see exactly where your heads are at. Let us carefully look at what the top insiders are saying about the asking price, because the reports are completely all over the place right now. Jordan Ronan, who is arguably the most plugged-in guy for that organization, talked to sources all around the league to get a feel for the market. The general consensus he got: a late first-round pick or maybe even a second-rounder. If that is actually true, I am screaming from the rooftops right now. Sign me up right this second. Take the 25th overall pick and get the deal done. No hesitation whatsoever. In a draft class that honestly isn't loaded with superstar depth, trading the 25th pick for a guy who will give you 85 to 90% of his peak, dominant performance for the next 3 to 4 years is an absolute steal of a lifetime. But hold the phone, because Ryan Dunleavy paints a totally different, vastly more expensive picture that might make you sweat. He compared this exact situation to the massive Quinnen Williams blockbuster, where a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and Motzie Smith were traded away. When Dunleavy explicitly asked a league source if this situation was comparable, the source bluntly replied that our guy here is actually better. According to Dunleavy's highly connected sources, the real asking price is a late first-round pick plus a premium day 2 pick next year. So, for our front office, that means giving up the 25th overall pick plus a third-rounder next year. That is a massively steep, painful price to pay. It feels incredibly similar to what we were all screaming to offer the Raiders when we desperately wanted Max Crosby. So, who is actually right here? Are we talking about just a late first-rounder, or are we talking about a first and a premium future draft pick? We absolutely cannot ignore the fact that right now, the NFL is a massive, extremely aggressive seller's market. Look at our own recent history. Nobody thought DJ Moore was going to command a second-round pick in a trade, but he absolutely did. Max Crosby was rumored to go for 2 whole first-rounders before the deal fell apart. The market is incredibly hot right now, and whoever trades for this guy is going to have to open up their wallet and pay up. And it isn't just the draft capital, my friends. We have to have a serious conversation about the brutal financial reality of this massive deal. If a team trades for him, they immediately absorb a $20 million cap hit for this upcoming season. $20 million. That is a massive pill to swallow when our cap space is already incredibly tight. The following year, his cap hit theoretically drops to $19.5 million, which is exactly why he is holding out and demanding a new contract. He knows he is vastly underpaid for his elite production. If we look at Spotrac's financial projections, they estimate his next extension will look something like a 3-year, $82 million deal. That averages out to roughly $27 million a year, instantly making him the second highest paid defensive tackle in the entire sport. Are we really comfortable with that kind of financial commitment? I am definitely not interested in resetting the entire market and giving him Chris Jones money, because Chris Jones is an absolute outlier at almost $32 million a year. But 27 or 28 million. If the guaranteed money is structured smartly, you absolutely have to consider it. The front office would have to do some serious cap gymnastics, restructure a few current contracts, and significantly lower that initial $20 million cap hit. So let us rapidly fire through 3 potential, highly realistic trade scenarios. Scenario number 1. We send the 25th overall pick and Gervon Dexter straight up. Is that enough to get them on the phone? Gervon has 11 sacks over the last 2 years, which is fantastic, premium production from the interior. He absolutely struggles against the run, sure, but pass-rushing defensive tackles who can guarantee you 5 sacks a year do not grow on trees. It gives them a young, exciting replacement to develop, and it brilliantly saves us from having to pay Gervon massive money down the line. Scenario number 2, we strictly follow the Dunleavy model. We send this year's first-round pick and next year's second-round pick. This is incredibly aggressive and honestly quite terrifying. It is probably the absolute ceiling of what I would be comfortable giving up, but sometimes you have to pay the painful toll if you want to ride the championship ride. Scenario number 3, a massive, complex pick swap. We send the 25th pick, the 57th pick, and the 60th pick. In return, we get the superstar defensive tackle and the 37th overall pick back. This way, we aren't completely mortgaging our future drafts. We are just aggressively maneuvering around the second round, essentially giving up a first and a third in pure draft value. This whole explosive situation is a massive, defining test for John Harbaugh. It is his first true crisis in his new role. You bring in a legendary coach to make the tough, big boy decisions, and now he has a superstar aggressively demanding out while he is trying to build a winning foundation around year 2 of Jackson Dart. You know they aren't going to want to waste valuable years of their young quarterback's rookie window dealing with endless drama. So if a trade is going to happen, it is going to happen incredibly fast. We are talking within the next couple of weeks before the draft kicks off. The clock is furiously ticking, the pressure is mounting, and the entire league is watching to see who blinks first. Do you think the front office should pull the trigger and make one of these massive trades happen before time runs out?